Politics can be frustrating, and between a career in law enforcement, family time, and all of the things that you, the viewer, have to deal with in your already hectic life, it's no wonder that many people shrug off the time-consuming, headache-causing theater that is modern American politics. However, politics matter, and luckily, it's possible to outsource the effort of staying informed and involved, in part, of course. And this week, we're going to explore the importance of having political representation as a law enforcement officer in the state of Arizona. I'm Steve Serbalik, and I'm a panel attorney for AZCOPS in Arizona. Here's the thing. Being a member of groups like AZCOPS, groups that lobby for your interests as law enforcement officers in the state legislature, allows you to focus on the things that are important in your life, while funding the fire watch that looks out for your interests in places that are, unfortunately, not always filled with rational lawmakers who all want what's best for society. Let's take, for example, this person. This is Annalise Ortiz, a Democratic state representative for Arizona's 24th district. And this person, Ana Hernandez, a Democratic state senator for that same district. Representative Ortiz and Senator Hernandez have introduced a bill that is not in touch with the needs of law enforcement or the safety of the communities they serve. In fact, I would go so far as to say that Representative Ortiz's and Senator Hernandez's bill is not in touch with reality in general. And here's why. Their companion bills are known as the, quote, peace officer violence victims' rights, end quote. That's right. Representative Ortiz and Senator Hernandez apparently think that peace officer violence is something so endemic in law enforcement that it needs a bill establishing new laws that give rights to suspects who engage in activity so egregious that it requires an officer to use deadly force. It rebrands these suspects as victims in the language of the bill. I've linked the actual bill in the description below, but for now, let's look at some of the provisions the bill includes. First, the bill establishes 13 rights for the victims of peace officer violence. A few examples are free legal services, which of course means taxpayer-funded legal services. The right to, quote, be free from an investigator's false or misleading information and opinion before the investigation is concluded, end quote. Whatever that means. The right to have suspects blurred from the video. Access to names, photographs, and all employment records of the involved officers within 72 hours of a critical incident. The right to petition the county attorney to reopen a case against the peace officer if charges are not brought against the peace officer. Any personal belongings logged as evidence released to the suspect after 90 days, regardless of the status of the investigation. Access to restitution that's paid for by the municipality where the critical incident occurred, including free trauma care and mental health care for the suspect and the suspect's family. The bill then goes on to establish other provisions to ensure that the public will be financially responsible for any suspect who decides to engage in violent behavior that requires law enforcement intervention. Things like creating jobs in cities that have to staff the role for being a suspect advocate at any critical incident, or requiring the state to fully fund a legal and advocacy organization to provide free legal and support services to suspects and their families. Laughably, there's even a measure in there that says, and I'm quoting, a municipality or police department may not publicly release false, misleading, or incomplete information about a critical incident or the victims of peace officer violence. Incredible language considering the amount of times officers are slandered in the news using a 2-second out-of-context clip from a video. The bill also requires that suspects be referred to as victims, barring the term suspect from being used. But here's the kicker. The definition of victim: anyone who is injured from a peace officer interaction, regardless of the status of any criminal investigation. And what's a critical incident? Any interaction that results in physical injury to a civilian. So a drunk, wrong-way driver who stopped by an officer placing their car between the suspect and oncoming traffic, resulting in injury to the suspect and even the officer? You bet. That person would be a victim now, and entitled, under their law, to free services. A person walking through a gas station setting fires who tries to set fire to an officer who contacts them, if the officer shoots, victim. If the officer tackles them and suffers burns for his troubles, victim. An active shooter in a school who takes their own life after being confronted by law enforcement? Yeah, Under this language, victim. This is real. And this next point is both real in the sense that it's in the proposed legislation and unreal. Section F, notwithstanding any other law, a peace officer who's involved in a shooting or an in-custody death must be permanently removed from any law enforcement role, and the peace officer's pension must be permanently withheld. So an officer who acts to address a threat, according to these lawmakers, should lose their jobs, their careers, and their pensions. And activists so detached from reality, so bent on slandering the law enforcement profession, that they rob the true victims of crime from their status by changing the language to match their ignorant worldview are out there. This is why being a member of organizations like AZCOPS and encouraging others to join organizations like AZCOPS is so important. We speak with lawmakers on your behalf so that you can focus on your job and the communities that you serve. These bills won't pass, and the next ones won't either. But they won't stop trying, and we'll be there when they do. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Don't forget to like, follow, and please turn on notifications. It really helps the channel grow. Be on the lookout for new videos. They come out every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. Arizona time. I'm Steve Cerbalic. Thanks for watching, and stay safe out there.